It's almost like Christmas Day. I feel like we're unwrapping gifts and getting ready for everyone to come over and have a great meal and a couple of drinks and start enjoying life again as we're used to.
Patio weather is here. Come Friday, we might finally be able to enjoy it. Businesses preparing for the hopeful rush of customers. And as the province slowly reopens, tourism officials continuing to push for locals to explore their own backyards. A live look outside as we see a ship on the Detroit River there. A special weather statement in effect. Isolated showers moving across Windsor, Essex and Chatham, Kent. 34 with the humidity right now in the city. Colette Kennedy brings the forecast tonight. I'm Chris Hensing. Thanks for joining us. The City of London continues to mourn the deaths of 4 members of its Muslim community. Police continue to dig into the background of the man accused of the killings, who's due in court tomorrow. CBC's Magda Gabriel-Selassie has the latest.
The memorial at the site of the deadly London attack continues to grow. The grass is covered with flowers, but it's another image that is burned into this woman's mind.
I could see the boy lying on this side on the grass crying.
Karen didn't want her last name shared, but she says she and her husband were out walking when they came across the grisly scene on Sunday evening. Yamna Afzal, Madia Salman, Talit Afzal, and Salman Afzal were killed that day. 9-year-old Fayez survived.
All he could say is my family, and he's crying, mommy, 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 mommy. And that's hard to take, especially when you have a little 6-year-old at home.
Police have since charged the accused, Nathaniel Veltman, with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Police say he was wearing body armor and a helmet when he was arrested, and that they believe he targeted the family with his truck because of their faith.
The laying of a terrorism charge is certainly on our radar, and it has been since day one.
The police chief says the accused has no known ties to hate groups at this time, that a search of his history, including online history, will be part of the investigation. As for how the police determined this was motivated by hate,
it was a culmination of speaking with witnesses and looking at video, and we eventually arrested the accused, and from that, we made the determination this was hate motivated.
The chief says more hate-related incidents are being reported. An update on how many is expected soon. As for how to put a stop to the hate,
this is a responsibility of every single person.
This former imam is calling on all from the highest elected officials to the everyday person to take a stand and take action.
If you hear any form of hatred, any form of racism, any form of discrimination, you stop it. You call it out.
And he says it's up to the elected officials to use the law to criminalize hate-motivated crimes. Many are now left waiting and wondering to see if terrorism charges will in fact be laid. The accused has a scheduled court appearance tomorrow. Magda Gabriel-Selassie, CBC News, London.
And here in Windsor, people are gathering to remember the family. Windsor Mosque will be holding a community dua tonight in their parking lot. They ask everyone to remain inside their cars. Those walking to the event are asked to keep a physical distance from others. There will be a live stream on their Facebook page. That will happen at 7 tonight. There's a push in Windsor, Essex to get more businesses on board with rapid COVID-19 testing. This as the province brags about distributing millions in the last month. CBC's Katerina Georgieva has been on this. She joins us now live. Kat, what's the interest in these tests been like so far?
Well, Chris, the Chamber of Commerce says that it has been good so far, but it could definitely be better. So this is all part of a program by the province to get these rapid tests to small and medium-sized businesses in order to help them curb the spread of COVID-19. Now, in the last month, the government delivered nearly 2.4 million test kits for this sector. About 50,000 of those kits delivered to our Chamber of Commerce right here, but only 13,000 of those kits have actually been requested by local businesses, 109 of them. The head of the chamber says that there has been some hesitation, but he hopes that changes soon.
It costs nothing. It is self-administered. It is non-invasive. And, some concern that I've heard, and I want to dispel that, is that what if someone tests negative, then, or tests positive, the whole workforce has to then go for a PCR test or to quarantine, which is not true. Only the person that has tested positive, presumptive positive, has to go for a PCR test and quarantine till they get the result from the PCR test.
Now, Chris, at this point in time, the Chamber of Commerce says that they have plenty of tests in stock, so they don't plan on making any orders soon from the province for more, but they will likely do that soon when hopefully that supply does come down from demand.
And Katerina, is not just small businesses that are able to access these tests. Who else can get on board?
Yeah, the Port Authority partnered with the province about a month ago, and part of that is to get the test to some of the companies that work along the port. And there's a total of about 850 workers who are part of the port itself, plus seafarers. So they're eligible for tests if they want them. Companies representing the workers make the request to the Port Authority, and then the Port Authority facilitates getting them those tests from the province. And there's been a good response so far, but some roadblocks along the way.
It's good cooperation. There's a great deal of interest. Of course, there's a lot of logistics, as each of the operators of the facilities here in Windsor are independent of each other. So they, as much as we are the regulator, they operate their own facility. So it's their own corporate policy. And some of these corporations are large international cooperatives and corporations that have to go to a higher level to get that permission. We're not here to tell them it has to be done. We're here to help them facilitate and take care of the logistics issues with it.
And Chris, one thing I want to point out is that in an announcement today, the province said that they've delivered 12.3 million of these tests. I did ask for clarification about whether that's for some programs or whether that number is all of the tests that have been delivered since the start of the pandemic, but I haven't heard back yet. The other thing that I want to mention is that the province said that it was ramping up its distribution of these tests. But again, when I asked for clarification as to when that ramping up would be happening and in what quantity that ramping up might be happening, all I got was that moving forward, the province would continue to distribute these tests to businesses that need them. Chris.
Thanks, Kat. CBC's Katerina Georgieva live tonight. Outdoor dining returning in Windsor, Essex. New rules by the province going into effect on Friday. And as the CBC's Sanjay Maru reports, businesses are getting their patios prepped and ready to go ahead of the big day.
With the weather as hot as it's been, the flowers are blooming and the bikes are out. But there's been something missing. That changes Friday when you can take in the patio weather from a patio.
It's almost like Christmas Day. I feel like we're unwrapping gifts and getting ready for everyone to come over and have a great meal.
On Friday, Ontario will move into the first phase of its reopening plan. It allows for outdoor dining with up to 4 people per table, with exceptions for larger households. Neil says he's been able to manage with takeout and delivery after patios were forced to close back in April, but staying afloat has been a challenge.
It's just a fraction of what we'd usually be bringing in, and to keep people employed and keep the lights on has been a struggle.
We love the neighborhood, we love the customers. Like, takeout, yeah, you can still talk to people or like interact with them, but it's not the same.
At the Dot, staff are working full steam ahead to prep for Friday, going as far as closing the restaurant this week to expand their existing patio with an outdoor tent.
It's going to be done. We're going to make sure it's done. It's going to look great, and hopefully everyone loves it.
Then there's Craft Heads, whose patio has become a fixture of the brewery since it was introduced. Its owner says he's just waiting on the patio to be inspected by the city, a patio that kept him operational for much of last year.
We're going to do a wash down tomorrow, kind of when it cools down a little bit, and then just get the QR codes for our tap list and the retail shop on the tables, and we're pretty much ready to go. We've been ready to go, so it's just waiting on these inspections from the city.
Weeks of waiting to reopen, now down to just days. Businesses hoping to see their tables filled with customers.
Hopefully, you never know till the day of.
Fingers crossed, absolutely. The more the merrier.
We're just going to make things happen, make it work.
Sanjay Maru, CBC News, Windsor.
And the Windsor Essex Health Unit reporting 13 new cases of COVID-19 in the region. There are 147 active cases. About 40% are variants of concern. Another person has died, a man in his 60s. As for vaccinations, 71.9% of adults have at least one dose, 15.5% of adults now fully vaccinated. Eligibility extended today for those second doses to people who had their first shot of Pfizer or Moderna on April 18th or before. The health unit also updating the situation of vaccines for temporary foreign workers. Right now, they estimate between 8,000 and 10,000 workers are here, about 6,000 currently vaccinated, and the health unit says their vaccine rate is similar to the overall rate in Windsor, Essex.
We were able to provide information, educational material in their own language. And that really helped to remove any of these barriers and misinformation that they may have. So overall, I'm really happy to see that rate, and I truly hope that we are able to give them the second dose and to get them the protection that they need.
The federal government announcing a first step in plans to gradually lift border restrictions starting early next month. Fully vaccinated Canadians flying back into the country will soon be able to skip the mandatory 14-day quarantine in a designated hotel.
What is currently being considered as the first step in this approach is to allow fully vaccinated individuals currently permitted to enter Canada to do so without the requirement to stay in government-authorized accommodations.
Now, travelers will have to be fully vaccinated 2 weeks or more prior to arrival with one of the 4 vaccines approved by Health Canada. They'll also still be required to have a negative COVID-19 PCR test before departure, get tested again upon arrival, and have a suitable self-quarantine plan as they await those results. The health minister says the new rules will hopefully take effect by early July. Local tourism officials have begun marketing Windsor, Essex, and Pelee Island to those looking for a summer getaway. As Dale Molnar reports, they're banking on local tourists looking for a staycation.
Tourism Windsor, Essex, Pelee Island has introduced its new brochure, and they're marketing to people in southwestern Ontario. With border restrictions still in place and uncertainty over when it will open, TWEPI is banking on staycationers to frequent the hotspots.
People that have been in their homes and cooped up are going to be looking to enjoy some of the tourism assets in their own backyard.
The wineries are banking on people from Windsor, Essex, and Chatham area to make up for the loss of U.S. visitors expected once again this year.
I think it's going to be amazing. We have been sensing from people writing us and talking to us that there is a huge pent-up demand for people to get out.
Over at the Sprucewood Estate Winery, they're already putting together some marketing plans.
This year, exciting, we are adding a beach hut as well down at the water. So we're going to be serving right on the beach with bathrooms down there. And so we're now expanding our outdoor service options, which we think is going to increase the experience for people here and they're having an even better time. So we expect to see a lot of locals, and we do expect to see a lot of Ontarians visiting. As for people from the US, we are expecting not to see any of them, but that was a large customer base for us at one time before COVID. So we do hope that we'll be seeing them again one day.
But this travel agency is also getting a lot of calls from people who want to travel to the U.S. and even the Caribbean.
Everybody's really itching to go away. So we are getting calls asking what's opened up, where they can travel, what the requirements are. One of the big things is the quarantine hotel, how long that's going to be in effect.
The U.S. border closure expires June 21st. If it's not renewed, the government has a tentative plan in place to deal with returning Canadians based on whether or not they have been fully or partially vaccinated and for how long. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
The Windsor International Film Festival had to take the party outdoors last year because of the pandemic, and even though there is hope that things are winding down, it's going to do so again this year.
This takes a full 12 months to plan, and at this juncture where we are in June, we're now moving out of the planning phase per se, and we're starting to nail things down, make bookings, sign some contracts, and get really deep into it, and that's where it's become clear. And speaking with our distributors, a lot of them still have a lot of question marks on what's going to be released this year.
Georgie says they're looking to August to have the drive-in again along the riverfront, possibly having space for people to sit physically distanced and enjoy the movies as well. Plans include double feature classic and some family-friendly films. Residents and businesses who live and work around the 80 Knox Herman Recreation Complex are weighing in on the city's proposed renovations. The $42 million plan would see big changes to the existing complex, which was built more than 50 years ago. The city says the new facility could, among other things, have a new full-size gymnasium, an indoor and outdoor walking path, a fitness center, basketball, pickleball, tennis courts. While the community center would remain, it would be losing its pool, something the city has tried to do multiple times, but resident pushback kept it operational. The city says people could use the new pool being built as part of the Lancer Center on the university campus. We checked in with people who live near to see what they think.
It's good if they keep the playground for the children and maybe one of the baseball diamonds for the baseball and cricket fans that live in the neighborhood. Ideally, I would love to see them fix up the guest house here so it could be used for bathrooms and maybe even a hot dog and soda pop stand like it used to be in the 50s.
The pool's going to be shut down in there. What do you think about that?
That's a tragedy because I know many seniors on the street that use it for aquatherapy. They use aquatherapy sessions for like physio for people that had like knee injuries or have arthritis. Before she passed, my dad's aunt used to go there every couple weeks.
They're building a new pool.
Oh!
At the university, but it's 1.5 kilometers away.
It's still kind of far.
From what I've seen in the drawing, this building's going to be gone and a parking lot here down to the ball diamond. Like they already have a parking lot on McEwen side and up at the corner of Wyandotte and McKay. They think they're going to need that many more spots.
Once the pandemic started, everything stopped like for us, but now because they're going to move to University of Windsor, obviously the students going to be like adult students, and obviously they need something to eat, so obviously that's going to be a good place for them to come here and eat something,
Who want to weigh in on the plan can do so by an online form. Those comments, they have to be submitted by Tuesday. Windsor Assembly Plant workers will be idled for longer than expected. The near 5,000 workers will be on shutdown for the remainder of the month. Stellantis says microchips continue to be an issue. The Windsor Assembly Plant went on a 3-week shutdown in February. Then again, they were shut down in late March. The plant ran several shifts the week of May 31st before going back on a hiatus. As we take a live look outside, you can see the sun out. We had some wild clouds again today. It's been a little bit wacky with the weather. Colette Kennedy comes up with the forecast next. We've got some incredible photographers here in Windsor, Essex. Plenty of places to shoot, but it's the birds that usually get the attention in May. Donnie Moore snapped these photos at the start of a busy migration month. He posted them on his Facebook page, trying to connect people with nature. But in the middle of the month, his camera got a little wet. It stopped working, but he didn't want to stop documenting his sightings, though.
I am annoyed my camera's broken, but there's nothing else for it. I'm still going to get out and enjoy what's there. But the little sketches became a bit of a fun way, a bit of levity to get through this situation. My sketches, I do take inspiration from like the abstract artists like Picasso, but also some realism. You know, I like to really get in there. So I try to capture the reality of what I'm seeing. Unfortunately, that doesn't translate through my pencil onto the paper. It's kind of more something of Angry Birds, the game, rather than the birds you're going to see in wild. I had to go with it. I started doing it. Some people picked up on it, so I sort of kept on drawing some. The top one is one of the sort of most sought after warblers we get coming through, the Prothonotary warbler. For years, it was like an endangered species. There was lack of habitat, and most of the conservation efforts in the last 10, 15 years have been to try to bring those back. And this year was fantastic for them. Like, we were seeing multiple numbers of those in Point Pelee.
You put a lot of effort into making sure that others know what bird they're looking at. Why is that so important? For me, the passion is that I know people in Essex County love wildlife, love nature. Even when I started doing the drawings, I was starting to think to myself, you know, I really should just emphasize some of the little field marks. Like, the birds come through at different stages through May. It's one of the later ones that come through near the end of the month. Everybody likes to see it too. It's called the necklaced warbler. So it has this necklace, and because it was called the Canada warbler, I attempted to draw little maple leaves hanging from its necklace. So just again, it'll make it stick in people's heads. Although this isn't a great drawing of it, with the description I give and just re-emphasizing, like it's got a necklace and then like little medallions hanging from it, then people will sort of say next time they're out, if they see that, hopefully that connects with something and say, oh, I seen a Canada warbler, rather than just saying, well, I've seen some nice birds. I think people were still coming to see that art, that other side of you, Donnie. Yeah, well, that's what sort of became. You know, there was people, I was almost hurt. People were preferring my drawings over my photography. You know, the photography I've worked on for years to try and get better at. The drawings took me literally seconds. Some people have commented, you know, oh, I think your pictures are getting better. I go, oh, no, please. So I had to try and make them worse because I didn't want people to think that this is my new avenue, because certainly after even trying these, like this was stretching my ability to the max to get these doodles. And those doodles, you go to Donnie Moore Photography on Facebook, you can find him there. That's also where you can find his podcast as well, Rambling About. Colette, we did the banana thing. I think we already know where our capabilities lie when it comes to that type of stuff.
Yeah, he can draw better than me.
No, much better. Yeah, for these poor things that take seconds, they're pretty beautiful.
Yeah, I really like that though. Apparently we have a lot of warblers around, but that Canada one, it makes me, I'm inspired. Now I want to try and find one of those with the necklace and see how much they look like maple leaves. Let's take a look at what's going on with the temperatures that we're seeing across the country, just because I do want to show you that there is some cooler air that's moved into parts of the prairies. It's trying to push into Ontario. It will move through central Ontario, but we're still just far enough south that we're probably going to stay into the warmer readings for a few more days at least. And you're going to see that in the 5-day forecast, pointing out that we still have special weather statement because of some of these isolated storms that popped up again today. They're still there, and a few of them really torrential downpours, so we'll show you a couple areas with some warnings as well. Windsor, we're still holding at 29, 26 for Chatham-Kent. 37, though, is our humidex value. Look at all the lightning strikes, and you can see this real cluster here. So as I overlay what's happening, those are the areas with the severe thunderstorm warning, so you need to heed that and proceed with caution there. It's not just the heavy downpours, lightning strikes, strong winds. Dangerous conditions there. Now, we'll see this winding down through the overnight hours. Towards tomorrow morning, a little fog in a few areas. It'll be dense. That could have an impact on something you're going to hear more about in the show, which is the solar eclipse tomorrow morning in terms of being able to see it. We think we'll do great, though, as we go through the day on Thursday. We're talking about a lot of sunshine, but look at these readings tonight and tomorrow that we're still looking at the humidex value mid towards upper 30s. And I talked about this yesterday, although there was a chance that the drier, cooler air was going to push down towards us. I really just don't think we're quite getting into it, Chris.
No, and that Friday does look good for the patio reopenings when that comes through.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Thanks, Miss Colette.
You're welcome.
As she mentioned, Stargazers, you got a lot to look at recently. Well, there's something else on the way. We'll dive into that next. The Keystone XL pipeline project has been canceled. Calgary-based TC Energy Corporation says it's pulling the plug on the contentious project after a comprehensive review of options and a decade-long battle to get it built. Now, the company says it made the decision because Canadian officials failed to reverse U.S. President Joe Biden's decision to revoke the project's presidential permit. Construction of the nearly 2,000-kilometer pipeline started last year when former U.S. President Donald Trump revived the long-delayed project. It was designed to send 800,000 barrels of oil a day from Alberta to Nebraska. The Alberta government had invested more than $1 billion last year, provided a $6 billion loan guarantee. Stargazers across much of Canada are going to be up bright and early tomorrow to catch a glimpse of a solar eclipse. This is the path that's expected to take over the northern hemisphere that you can see on your screen now. Moving over Yellowknife, Regina, Toronto, Montreal, Atlantic Canada. It's an annular solar eclipse, meaning most of the sun will be blocked out by the moon. That's it for us here at CBC Windsor News. Thanks for watching. Have yourselves a wonderful night.